On today's show, Joe Amaral from the Whatever Bro podcast joins us in studio, and we're going to be discussing Thor Ragnarok. There's going to be plenty of spoilers in this episode as we talk about what we liked, what we didn't like, some of our favorite characters, as well as some of our favorite jokes. So join us, will you, as we Ragnarok and roll on this episode of Free Your Geek.
You must be Hela. I'm Thor, son of Odin.
Really? You don't look like him.
Perhaps we can come to an arrangement.
You sound like him. Neil.
Beg your pardon.
Neil. Before you're queen.
I don't think so. It's not possible.
Darling, you have no idea what's possible.
It's okay, but there is something about the studio that I miss. So it's good. It's good to be back. Thanks for inviting me.
You're very welcome. Welcome back, Joe. We're going to be discussing. What are we going to be discussing today, fellas?
Thor
Ragnarok. It was a movie that came out last week. I have some notes that we're going to go in here and talk about a little bit. And I just want to, I'll take those out.
Oh, and just let everyone know that the spoiler warning is up there.
Yeah, right? Above our heads on the video, you see. Thanks, Joe. See, this is why I miss having you on a show like this, Joe. So, gentlemen, just real quick, just some notes that I took. As of 11/5, via Superhero Hype, estimated pulled in 121 million domestically, 306 million internationally, for a total global worldwide of $427 million. The budget was $180 million, so it's already profitable.
Woo! Drop the hammer. Boom!
And if we want to compare it to the other Thor movies, it's a 41% increase over 2013's Thor Dark World, which opened with 85.7.
Trash of a movie.
Yes.
But you got to count it.
Yes.
And Thor, the first Thor in 2011, only did 65.7 million. So
I like that movie.
Basically doubled.
Oh, yeah.
Doubled.
Yeah, Marvel was still finding its place.
Right.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we all saw it together, actually. There was a whole crew of us. There was 8 of us together that happened to check the movie. I'm also rocking a Friends from Work, kind of a psychedelic.
I like it, man.
I've already been called Barney the Dinosaur, which is cool.
I think you just like the color purple, which there's nothing wrong with that.
He's Grimace.
Grimace.
That's what it is.
Grimace.
Hey, I am friends with a couple clowns. You know what I'm saying?
So you like the color purple, but not the Whoopi Goldberg.
Right.
No, silly in here.
I'm a big fan of Prince, though.
Purple rain.
So yeah, let's just overall. We'll start with our guest. I guess for what did you think of the movie? Just overall.
Overall, I loved it. I mean, it didn't really have, as far as the previous Thor movies, it didn't have much to live up to. I mean, the first one was solid, good introduction. Second one was god awful, but it was still important. Like, there were important elements in it. But the third one just blew both out of the water.
Absolutely.
And I would say it's one of the best to date Marvel movies. My opinion.
So then you're in agreement with me. Definitely better than Guardians 2.
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
I think there are a lot of movies better than Guardians 2.
I would. I would throw Ragnarok up there with, like, for me specifically, Winter Soldier. Definitely.
Oh God, yeah.
Is still to this day my top Marvel movie.
Same.
And then the original
Guardians.
Like, those three right
It's
there.
scary how we have the same thought process with this.
That's awesome.
Well, I want to reach out to people on Facebook Live. So we're on Facebook Live for those that are listening to the audio only version, and we're getting some comments in. Scotty Medeiros, Joe's counterpart from the Whatever Bro podcast, wants us to discuss how 3D is.
That's a hell of a point. Go ahead.
So I'm not gonna use the slur because Scotty, I love you, but that's not how we roll here.
We're
but
PC.
how it's he doesn't like 3D movies. We discussed this. What were your thoughts? We saw it in 3D. So what versus a standard definition versus a 3D?
It still looked good, but the glasses bother my eyes a little.
That was for you, Scotty.
It's uncomfortable. I would much rather watch either in IMAX or just in, whatever the hell it is, HD. I don't like the glasses, and I don't like the different layers. That's cool if you're like doing a Disney thing, You know, like back in the day, I'd done that. I was like, oh, cool.
And there
as
were
a kid.
movies filmed for that kind of thing.
Exactly. So I wasn't a fan of it. But I mean, it's not a huge deal to me. If you say you're going to watch it in 3D, I'm fine with it. It's not that big a deal. But I would rather watch it in just regular HD.
I agree with you on that. I want to just like take a quick second and thank everybody who's joining us live right now. For all of the groups who did not block me and are actually like, I have group members right now watching with us. Thank you. This is the Free Your Geek podcast.
Yes, thanks for joining us.
These are my boys.
Yeah, welcome. Welcome. We welcome you to leave comments, good, bad, or indifferent, as long as you're not a dick. That's kind of our tagline. You know, give us, whatever good. Like we mentioned. That's how Don joined. He was like disagreeing with us.
I was watching these three guys.
And a certain. Yeah, we were doing. What were we talking about? We were talking about.
It was
I think Age of Ultron.
Infinity Stones.
We were talking about the Infinity Stones, and Don jumped.
Oh yeah,
in
he was commenting a bunch. Yeah.
We had him call in the following week, and then
had him as a guest, and then
pretty much ever since.
we're just like, just stay here.
Not just one of those ordinary commenters. He was actually asking some legit questions, bringing up some good points. So then it was like Jeff saw that, and Jeff was like, "Let's invite this guy on."
So that's right, because you were on that show when he first started. That's right, because we were
that's
talking.
The thing about Joe is Joe, for every Marvel movie that we see, Joe is automatic. Joe has had the most appearances, the guest appearances on this
Good
show.
6 or 7 now.
I'm like the
something like
Alec
that.
Baldwin of SNL.
Exactly. So if you're comparing this to SNL, which thank you, but I agree. The Alec Baldwin, or maybe like the Tom Hanks,
Christopher Walken.
The everyman.
That's
like
me.
More
here.
cowbell.
If it's a Marvel movie and we're going to be reviewing it, Joe, it's just a
I'm here, man.
Joe's here.
Little side story. I got to give credit to the Whatever Bro podcast because I wouldn't be here because I like your guys' show. It led me to find this show. And
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Facebook friends with you, and I think I saw your notification come up, and I watched. And,
Yeah. By the way, we got to get you on one of our episodes.
It's
It's so much fun. Even as the unofficial sound guy for their show, it's still a blast.
I was in the studio once, and I was having fun just sitting there watching these guys.
Oh yeah.
I want to give a quick
It's
shout
quite
out
foolish.
to Connor, who's asking, will you guys see the new Star Wars when it comes out in December? And I think that's a resounding
Yes.
So
Yeah. I think that explains it all.
You can see it from this far away, but I get a Star Wars tattooed on my arm, so I
Oh, nice.
live,
Yeah,
breathe,
we'll-
and defecate Star Wars.
which is probably a little TMI, but hey, listen,
This guy poops Star Wars.
right. So,
Jar Jar Binks.
but I think it's safe to say for those new viewers, if there's something
Misa,
in
what now?
geek culture. This is what we did. This is what I have to deal with on a weekly basis. But those new viewers here, every time there's some geek culture movie, any Marvel movie, DC movie, anything geek culture, Star Wars, video game movie, we're pretty much guaranteed to see it and review it. That being said, we will not be here next week because we will be watching Justice League. So we'll be checking out Justice League. And then the following week will be Thanksgiving. So we'll be back in 3 weeks' time, and we'll be reviewing the Justice League movie. So give everybody a chance to go check that out. Before we get into the real crux of Thor, a couple things. As Joe already mentioned, up above your heads for those watching the video, we have a spoiler warning because we're going to be reviewing Thor Ragnarok. And so we're going to be talking about it. I don't know how deep we're going to go into spoilers, but before we do that, want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. Thank you to Local Blast Marketing, the Ritual Sweat Society, and Pachico's Furniture. Thank you for supporting the show. Great sponsors. Go check them out. They all have Facebook pages. Like them. Tell them you Free Your Geek sent you, all that fun stuff, so they can keep contributing to our show. All right, business part out of the way. Let's talk some Thor.
Yeah.
Let's talk. I wrote down a bunch of different things here. I want to go point by point. Just some thoughts I had and get your opinion on them, and then chime in with whatever else you think. We open up the movie, though, with Thor returning to Asgard. He basically says the reason why he was not part of Civil War was after the Age of Ultron vision that he had. He was searching for the Infinity Stones, so he couldn't find any, ended up returning home. As we saw with the Thor Dark World, Loki is now assuming Odin's place and looks like Odin, or basically is taking the guise of him, and they have almost like a live-action play of Loki's sacrifice with a couple of cool little guest stars for Odin, for Thor, and for Loki. So I love that. Luke Hemsworth, which is Chris Hemsworth's brother, is playing Thor.
The goofy-looking Hemsworth.
But again, it's a Hemsworth playing Thor. Which
I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that
hilarious.
was his brother.
Sam Neill was playing Odin, Mr. Jurassic Park himself.
And I can't let the paper guy spoil everything for you guys. He's got a paper. And Matt Damon was clearly Loki.
Yeah, it was-
People are like, oh my God, is that Matt Damon? I'm like, yes.
Oh yeah,
You know
that
what
was
I mean? My
perfect.
boy Preview was on one side of me like, yes, it's Matt Damon.
Jeff Preview, who has been on the show, and he's great guest. We'll have him back on too. So that was any other thoughts on Asgard, because Thor ends up discovering Loki's play. And
Bugged me a little that they didn't like Thor never once was told by Heimdall or anybody who lived on Asgard, hey, your brother is tearing this place up, or your dad's gone crazy. Like if they didn't know it was Loki, like they could at least be like, bad things are happening on Asgard,
Especially
you know?
Heimdall.
Yeah.
I think he'd reach out and be like, hey,
Well,
you need to get back here.
Yeah.
That's the hole in the plot is I see you all. He tells him, like he said it twice in the movie, like I see you all the time. So he knew he was there the whole time, to the point where like he took off and was in like exile saving people. Call Thor back.
Yeah.
Like you have.
I found that weird.
I'm
Yeah.
not even talking about like a cell phone. You have like the direct link, like, hey Thor, you coming back home? No.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know?
Just shoot me up. Yeah.
That's it. And you know the problem would have been taken care of. But what upset me even more, which you don't really look into, is Odin was, you know, like not manhandled. How do I say this? Like Loki played Odin and
Yeah.
dropped Odin off at a old folks retirement home. Where
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah, there's a little hole there. Like,
yeah, no, like
What happened?
especially Think of everything we saw, you know, like in their past, like Odin conquering worlds, and Odin's a beast. He has the ability
Yeah.
to take Thor's power away. The god of mischief is gonna
Yeah.
fool Odin. No,
They kind of just swept Odin under the rug. Kind of. They just rushed through that whole thing, and we're just like, we're gonna
kind
you
of.
know.
I mean, he's kind of too powerful for where they're going with
Yep.
the story. You know what I mean? It's like it's another person that can really challenge Thanos if they had to and all that.
Yeah.
So I think if you get him out of the way, it creates more
Yep.
drama. You know what I mean?
I like that. I didn't even think
Yeah.
that, but I like that.
Yeah.
real quick, friend of the show, Johnny Leather, is saying, to hell with Thor, do a Stranger Things episode. We are going to be reviewing Stranger Things. I am trying not to binge watch it as much as I want to. I'm about 4 episodes deep, so I just want to put that out there. A Stranger Things review will
Yep,
be
we're
coming
both
up.
done. So
You know what? Realistically, though, like the hotness of it is already over.
Yeah.
I like if we're not gonna dive into it, I say we just stay clear of it, because at that time, like, are we gonna like rehash? Like, are we gonna do that episode for people who like hadn't watched it yet?
Yeah.
Like people who are geeks like us go insane. Oh, Stranger Things on. Oh, I binged it in 2 days. Like,
Yeah.
a week the most.
exactly.
Yeah.
You know, like I feel like maybe that's
That should
something-
be the rule on the show. If you can't binge it in a week, we don't do it.
I mean, unless it's like if we got like a Game of Thrones,
Like a
scoop in
Netflix
here,
series.
Like, I
You
don't
can't
know.
binge it in a week, we don't do it.
So because I binged Fuller House Part 2, does that mean we should do that? No.
I didn't say
I
it
gotta,
that way.
How rude. Yeah, you want to give a
No,
shout
no,
out? Go ahead,
I
do it.
definitely do. Yo, AKA I jumped right into AKA. Shout out to my boy the Lumberjack, AKA Relics Blood, AKA I forgot your other name, but it's good to see you on here. It's good to see you doing good, man. Keep that shit up. I'm wicked proud of you. And,
Relics
yeah.
Blood. I want a nickname like Relics Blood.
We'll
That's a great nickname.
have to. Yeah, we'll have to come up with a nickname for Joe.
I mean, not now. Let's not
No,
put him on the spot.
spend
I just went.
Think about just think about it.
Jeopardy music. I don't
Yeah,
have that.
yeah.
stuff
He
like
needs
that.
a Free Your Geek podcast.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, just the intro. It didn't ruin the movie, but the intro was kind of like, the hell, you like Thor? You didn't know your
Yeah.
place, your home was
Well,
being destroyed.
To be
basically.
fair, so part of that is, and we'll get to that a little bit later, but or we'll talk a little bit more about it. Scourge was actually taking Heimdall's place, so to the point where Heimdall couldn't like alert
Yeah.
Thor. If he's not on the Bifrost Bridge, does he still? Maybe he's able to see, but can he contact?
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Good.
Who knows?
You know what? Was good and bad. So they use Scourge in the movie, and they only give us like Scourge's end storyline. We don't get the Enchantress, which is who you tie him to,
Yep.
and we see him die at the end, which is his way of redemption. Which is, I'm not a comic book reader.
Yep.
I watch videos, and I know that. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Okay,
It
whatever.
was, no, it's fine. It's fine. We'll jump around. I'm.
Spoiler alert for this.
Yeah,
guy.
no, we did. I had that on my paper though.
Oh, damn it. Elder Relic. Thank you. But no, that I found that cool. I'm sorry, man. I didn't
No,
mean
it's
to
all
jump
good.
ahead.
I want to talk about though with Odin being quick thing. Odin was in a retirement center. Loki had banished him. I incorrectly assumed it was the Peter Parker Aunt May Shady. I think it was Shady Pines or Shady Acres.
Oh yeah.
It's connected actually to Ace Ventura, because that's where Ace Ventura goes
That's
when
Yeah,
he's
Shady
he's
Acres,
Put
yes.
me in, coach, and he's
Yeah.
wearing the tutu.
That,
so
that was the spot.
yeah,
Wow,
well,
I
it was the
didn't
name of the
Didn't
of
even
the,
think
the
of that.
retirement
I did not
home.
even think of that.
So
Shady Acres. I'm like, I know that place.
little.
I
understood
did
it.
recognize the name.
I thought because I thought it was like Shady Pines or something else like that that Aunt May lived in, so I thought there was a connection to Spider-Man there. But there wasn't a connection to a different Marvel hero by the name of Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Because they're looking for him, and they're looking for Odin, and Thor happens to see Loki disappear and gets the card to go to the Sanctum Sanctorium.
Really enjoyable.
And just a
sequence.
cool little cameo.
Yeah.
Now, did you think it was enough? Because I think some of the criticism was they wanted more Doctor Strange
You can't.
interaction.
No.
You can't do too much, Doctor Strange.
Thank you for saying that.
No, you
because
can't.
Doctor Strange is just not there for me. So, like, tie him in just to, like, the Spider-Man storyline. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, the standalone movie, I can't get past the first 20 minutes. And
Oh,
that's
really?
it. Like,
You,
I can't.
you weren't a fan. I loved
No,
it.
Yeah, I loved it too.
And unfortunately, it's like...
And the other thing I was going to say, sorry to cut you off,
No, it's
but
good.
it's like he's going to be probably big in the end.
Oh no!
And
I
that's
get
if you don't
that.
like the,
I know. I totally
you know, the
understand.
character.
Like I sit through like some crap movies.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like there are like I didn't enjoy the first Iron Man movie. I watch it because it's a necessity. You
The
know
first
what I
one.
mean?
First one?
Wow.
Even the
Really?
Yeah, no,
we have some disagreements.
Oh, hey, and it's that's the beauty of
Yeah.
it is we all like we can all have like our own different views on stuff, but yeah, I have a kid.
It's
so
all good. You're
I have a kid,
Yeah.
so
quick.
I'm usually
you
on
drop
top of it.
I do want to say though, I thought it was just enough because obviously they're setting up. It's kind of like the appetizer for Infinity Wars. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you realize all these heroes are going to be coming together at some point. We've already been teased that. So I think just to kind of set up their interaction, so it's not like Infinity War comes up and then Doctor Strange just shows up and then has to meet everybody. At least now he has Thor who can vouch for him for the other Avengers. So it's kind of like just setting up. Same thing with Spider-Man. I mean, granted, we've seen him in Civil War, but the fact that him and Tony have worked together now, it kind of like it's the idea of the same Marvel plan where you bring all these heroes in their solo movie, and then the Avengers movie, everybody, you can introduce a couple of new characters such as Black Widow and Hawkeye and flesh them out a little bit more, even though Hawkeye was kind of in a Thor. But,
Yeah, the first one.
But it was just kind of like it was an idea of like you can flesh these characters out more and put more backstory because you already have the origins of all the other main heroes, so to speak. So I think it's really cool that all these characters are interacting in their solo picks, and then they're all going to come together. I think it's going to be really cool.
Yep. With Doctor Strange, I like how they made him seem more powerful than he was in his standalone movie. Like you can tell he's gone
growing.
through.
Yeah.
He's growing as a sorcerer. So, and he was basically just toying with Loki, and Loki's a god that's been
God
alive
of
for
mischief.
thousands
Yeah,
of
I
years.
mean, come on, God of illusion, God of mischief.
Yeah.
And Doctor Strange is owning him.
He's seeing with his full confidence.
Yeah.
And we'll be talking a little bit more when we get into the actual characters because I missed a list of all the different characters. We'll be talking about how characters have progressed and gotten better with time, and I'm talking about Bruce Banner. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. But the other big thing, and again, spoiler alert, and we're going to keep saying it, but Odin, basically after they find Odin, he basically tells Loki and Thor, like, I'm done, I'm dying, and this is going to be the end. You have to protect Asgard from your sister. Which we're like, what?
Yeah, out of the blue.
So it was really cool.
Not even explained.
They touch upon it when they go back to Asgard, and she knocks down the ceiling, and there's a painting behind the ceiling with
That was a great
how it
scene.
originally was that Hela was basically the right arm of Odin conquering, and then Odin. It's very interesting, and not that I want to get too religious, but it's kind of like Old Testament, New Testament,
Yeah.
as far as like vengeful God, punish everybody, and then like forgiving and peaceful, and
They made both of them seem ruthless at one time. Like Odin was ruthless at one time, and he used Hela to be ruthless, and then he got to a point where he's like, I kind of want to be nice now.
let's pull the
Hela
reins a little
actually-
bit.
Look, she held the role as Odin's executioner, and I love how she explained like it's not just killing people; it's executing your vision. Like that is that like little subtle things like that were like very very powerful. At least to
I
me.
like the backstory
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah.
Totally.
It was well thought out. And what'd you think of her as a villain overall?
Well,
Just-
no matter what, it's a matter of perspective.
Yeah. I mean,
Because-
it really is.
If you look at it, like in her head, like yeah, she wants to conquer everything, but like there could be like, oh, for peace, like I'm gonna conquer everything, and you guys are all gonna be screwed, but like afterwards, it's all gonna be good. Trust me, guys, it's good.
She just wants her original entitlement.
Yeah, she's
basically.
very,
She
like,
feels slighted.
Yeah.
She feels slighted. Just a quick heads up as we're talking about Doctor Strange. John Viveris says Loki's the new sorcerer supreme in the comic books right now, which I'm not a big. I don't know if
I haven't been following
so
on
I'm gonna,
the
John
Doctor Strange
Viveris
stuff.
is my go-to for comic book lore. So that's a really astute point. So thank you for that, John. Yeah, the one thing about Odin's death, though, and I don't know how you guys feel about this, all in all, the movie is very, very funny. It's very light, but with Odin's death, I feel like there was no real weight to it. There was no gravitas. It's just kind of like, okay, guys, you have to stop your sister.
Like
yeah,
You would think
word a day calendar, sir. But no, there was like no weight behind it. It's just like, okay, you have to protect it. Okay, I'm gone.
I was gonna say anticlimactic.
Yeah,
Very anticlimactic.
And I think that they could have weighed some of the more emotional, the heavier moments a little bit better to kind of even out with the comedic moments.
I have to say that wasn't the tone of the movie, and I feel like it. My opinion solely is that if they had focused more on emotional points in the movie or stuff like that, then it would have taken away from what the movie really was. At least to me, that movie was fun.
Yeah.
Like the whole, there was not one part in the movie where I was like, "Yo, it's time for me to go." Like we saw Spider-Man. I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. There were parts in Spider-Man where like I could close my eyes and take a nap right now. And Spider-Man was a great movie.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
So for me, I was like fully involved in this movie the whole time. The music.
Yes.
You know what? That's
It's
something
like
we
video game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we never touch on this. Like I geek the hell out over music.
The score.
Yep.
Crazy. So like it was like even like little like parts of the movie, you just hear like a whoop or some like I'm like, oh shit, you hear that synth?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
You know, I geeked out about
Knocked it
something
out of the
like
park.
Well,
with the soundtrack,
they used
yeah.
Immigrant Song, which is all in all the trailers, but they also used Pure Imagination from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory,
Yeah, and
which
they're
was
throwing,
amazing.
Yeah.
The music
and
and just like
Zeppelin in there?
Yeah.
the video game
It's
sound,
creative.
it was like a Nintendo game kind of.
Yes. Like Tron.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, this is Tron music. This is Tron music.
Yep, it was very cool.
Quick shout out to Johnny Leathers. He's saying Daddy's Home 2 is another movie. We don't really touch upon that, but go check that out because you might be seeing a cameo from Johnny Leathers in the background of.
And by cameo, you see him for 0.4 seconds in the crowd, but only half of his face, not the whole thing.
Hey,
And realistically, I have to give Johnny Leathers a shout out.
Yeah.
I was gonna like just send you a direct message, but I found the set. I finally found the set in Marshfield, and I will casually meet Denzel Washington, thanks to you.
so for Joe, I don't know if you saw a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about that, and Johnny mentioned that there's a
Equalizer
Denzel
too.
movie
Yeah.
taking place, and Don works around that area. So
Like,
he's like,
I work in.
It's
the
being
town
filmed now?
in Marshfield, Massachusetts.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
they got-
Equalizer too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they got a whole section of the town they cut off.
Yeah.
So
I kind of like the first one. First
Yeah.
Equalizer.
Oh, that was
it
good.
took place in Boston too, so
I like that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
should be good. Nice action flick. It's kind of like the Taken franchise. It's like the story's kind of stupid, but
I'm gonna watch
but-
it.
it's Denzel and the action's
Yeah.
great.
I
You
say
know?
really, you can't go wrong with Denzel.
No, or Liam Neeson.
man.
Yep.
couple other things. We saw Hela basically overtake Asgard, and a couple of our favorite but minor characters happen to be taken out. And I'm talking, of course,
Oh,
about
yeah.
the Warriors 3, Hogan, Volstagg, and Fandral,
Yeah.
which led to the question for me, where the hell is Sif?
I'm just glad she's alive. She's alive
Yeah.
somewhere. They
Yeah.
didn't,
Yeah.
Hella didn't kill her.
Where-
Such quick deaths
well,
for those
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah, and Kevin Feige said that he was interviewed, I believe it was Screen Rant, and he said, yes, they were killed rather quickly, but it was a noble death defending Asgard.
Yeah.
And when somebody asked about Sif, he said, that's a good question for another time. And
Nice.
to me, I don't know what's going to happen with that. Now, Jamie Alexander, who plays Sif, I guess she had some scheduling conflicts. She's filming the TV show Blind Spot, so I guess she couldn't get the time off to reprise her role. But if she had, would she have been killed off similar?
I don't think so.
Possibly.
I don't think so.
I think she's expendable though compared to the rest of the cast.
Well, she was originally in Thor Dark World. She was kind of positioned as like a potential love interest, maybe like a triangle between her, Jane,
Oh, that
and
chick.
Thor.
I
Talking about-
feel
Yeah.
like I feel like you have a female character in Avengers. You have a female character in Guardians.
Yeah.
It
Well,
might be
and,
good
but
to
we did have
one
a
in-
female character, and we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Wait,
well, yeah,
wait,
we do.
take a-
but
hold on one second.
yeah, that's true.
Last we left Thor, like the first guy who gets killed as soon as she comes through the Bifrost is the Asian guy who was left on his planet to protect his planet.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
like and all of a sudden, oh, he's back. He's hanging out in Asgard. Like, dude, you took care of your planet that quick? I mean, hey, it could be done,
Yeah.
but that crew got taken out so quick. It was just like, embarrassing, especially
It
when
was.
we saw in Thor 1 when they were on whatever that planet is, the Bifrost planet.
Yep.
And
they
even
just,
fighting the destroyer.
yeah.
Yep.
Oh my God, the Destroyer
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. But I mean, they are characters, though. Just because there's so many other strong characters, those are the people that have to go.
Right, and
Yeah.
that was designed to show you the power of Hela and how, like,
Yeah.
this is not going to be an easy walk in the park for Thor.
Yep.
It builds the tension.
It does.
And you know what's really great too is like you see like those characters, and like I love the Defenders. Like I love all the Netflix shows, so I love all those characters. Those characters would get their ass handed to them by one Asgardian, the
yeah.
weakest of the
Yeah.
weak, like the guy who cleans the toilets
In Asgard.
come up and just whop up the freaking Defenders, which says something crazy about our heroes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty
I
strong.
almost want to go into a tangent and talk about the Coriolis effect in Asgard. Like how when you flush the toilet, which way does the water go down the drain?
That's a good point. It's like
Goes
this
up.
upside down
It
world.
goes up. There you go. So
Why do you think we have waves in our oceans?
yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, overall, like that's the overarching theme is like Thor needs to get back and defend Asgard from Hela, because as they're going back, Hela is following. Loki basically calls for the Bifrost Bridge to open up for them to be taken back to Asgard. She hitches her way and pushes them through the portal as they're
Yep.
moving through it, and they end up on.
Sakaar.
Thank you. I was just waiting for somebody to chime in
Junk
with that.
Planet.
Junk Planet, yeah. And,
I think it's very cool there was a junk
Yeah.
planet.
And I believe
How awesome was costume design on that
Yes.
place?
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Oh my God! Now I don't
was
have
awesome.
anything like paper wise to compare it to, like comic book wise. But I watched a whole video that showed like all the comics and how like accurate the costume design for Thor was.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like looking, I'm like, wow, that's the exact same. Like that's the human version of this cartoon right here, perfectly.
Yep.
So they did do good with that.
Kind of reminded me of when they went to nowhere in Guardians.
Yep.
Like it was just kind of like
Definitely.
this freak planet. You know, it was
place.
What's his name?
the hollowed out head of a celestial.
Yeah.
It was a planet or whatever it was. I just thought it was cool. Like it was kind of
When
the
they went to
same
see the collector.
characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Same
Now-
characters, same like freakish like environment.
I'm gonna go off the animated shows that I watch. Now, the animated shows that I watch, they have the Collector and the Grand Master as brothers. The Grand Master is the Collector's older brother. Is that actually like
Yeah.
comic
Yeah.
locked in?
Yep.
Okay. So, I learned that from I want to say like the Amazing Spider-Man or something. But what are you doing over there? You picking Rick's nose?
yeah, that's what I'm doing.
This guy over here, he likes playing on the computer. He's
No, I'm getting to our. Okay,
He's
so for
playing
those watching the
solitaire.
video, I'm just like, okay, you guys can have your little talk. I'm just trying to figure out like what's going on with our video because I'm trying to pull it up on the computer here, but it looks like it's still streaming. So
Yeah.
we're
I
good.
mean, on mine it's
I,
fine.
wanna
mean-
make,
Yeah.
I just want to make sure we're still good and we're not interrupting our viewers' time.
oh man.
But
I'm sorry. I wanted to bring up Scourge real quick. I thought he was going to be a more serious character than he was. He was kind of
Yeah.
of a goofball. And,
Yeah.
like,
Like,
he
no-
looked tough. He looked
Yeah.
cool. But then when he opened his mouth, he was just a
Didn't
goof.
sound. Yeah.
It's like, yo, bro, keep them gym muscles at the gym. They don't scare me.
Just
well,
sucked.
let's talk about him right now. But I also wanted to your point with the Collector and the Grand Master. How cool would it be to see a Goldblum and Benicio del Toro scene together?
I think it'll
That'd be
happen.
cool.
I think we're gonna get
It's
it.
going to happen. At least in a credit scene, it'll
Yeah.
happen.
Oh man.
I think that would be fantastic.
I mean, isn't there like a whole comic book storyline where they actually, the Grand Master and the Collector, each choose from
The
Earth's
Contest of Champions.
Contest of Champions, man?
Yes.
Yeah.
Granted, I don't think we'll ever get that movie, but that's
Who
like,
knows?
That's the freaking movie we all want.
I think this is the closest you're going to get to it.
Yeah.
Go-
Secret Wars too. There's
Yeah.
so much like this. Like they
Yeah.
don't have to end at this phase. They need to just tell actors like, listen, you're gonna make money. Sign on with us until we tell you you're dead. You
Yeah.
know?
I don't know if you were going to bring him up eventually, but I thought Goldblum was hilarious. in
Oh,
that.
he was awesome.
He's on the paper.
They just
Yeah.
they just looked at him and they were like, you know what, Goldblum, just be yourself.
Please.
Like
Yeah.
don't be a
Please.
specific character.
Matter of fact, we're not even gonna write a script for you. You just roll with this.
Just
Well,
be
it's
you.
funny you say that.
Just-
So, all right,
just
let's talk
spit
about
the whole thing.
let's
Sorry,
talk
Jeff.
about- no, it's good. That's why I have this on the paper. I basically started going through all these supporting characters and like what I thought about him. For the Grand Master, I just wrote Jeff Goldblum. That's the
Yeah.
character.
That's what he was.
And he
Hilarious.
reminds me that somebody like he was very slimy. We saw like he was, the people on Sakaar were leading a revolt, and it's one of the end scenes, the end credit scenes, and he's kind of like, "Oh, you guys did great. Everything was." He reminds me, and Joe, I know you're not a big fan of The Walking Dead, but what we've been seeing this season, he kind of reminds me of Gregory.
Yeah.
from
Gregory's
Yeah.
a douche.
but I mean, he's always trying to like
Play both
throw his
sides.
Way back in.
Always
Yeah,
playing
so
both sides.
That's how I see the Grandmaster. If you want to kind of liken it to that,
I'll throw a little movie nod to this. He is no hot. Wait, he's neither hot nor cold. So because he's lukewarm, I will spit him out of my mouth. And if you guys know what movie that's from,
Nope.
You guys know?
No, I don't.
No?
Sadly.
Wow. And look at, I'm on the Free Your Geek podcast.
Oh, no, well, give it to
and
us.
These geeks right here don't know the line from Gangs of New York.
Man, I'm-
Daniel Day.
Oh, wow.
Letting them know.
Yeah, I did not. I've seen
is
that
that
a
a-
bunch of
I
times.
watched
too.
that movie on the regular.
Is
It
there
was super long.
is there a cameo by Luke Cage in that?
There actually is. There is. He's. Ooh, actually, you gotta watch what you say on this show because that time period was not so nice for Luke Cage.
All right.
Friends.
Well, with his unbreakable skin, you could do some damage.
Oh man.
Oh yeah.
My goodness, I keep going to roll with these.
I did. Off the subject.
Yeah, let's go.
I
That's
did
what we
love
do.
Luke Cage, by the way. Are they going to do another season of that?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
I heard BET's picking it up.
Oh man.
The views and opinions expressed by people here are not those
That
of
is not
59
PC.
Media or
That
the
is
Free Your
not
Geek
PC.
podcast. This is strictly the Don. Direct all your hate toward him, but we love him.
Jesus.
Except in
BT.
hate mail on the regular.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so I'm going to talk about. We talked about Scourge a little bit. I like how he took Heimdall's spot with Loki and Odin in charge. Loki Odin, as I like to call him, became the executioner for Hela. Did have a redemption story where basically he sacrificed himself for the good of his people after wanting to be. He
Yeah.
basically wanted to be somebody, and he.
It was either get killed by Hela
and,
or join.
Right, and then he finally, grew a spine, grew a backbone.
Yep.
and
It was noble.
I would realistically say he was the most human character on that. I'm not going to fight her.
yeah.
Yeah.
You slotted
She'll
all
kill
them.
you instantly.
Hands up.
Yep.
What
I'm
can I
smart
do
enough.
for you? You know, are you hungry? Are you thirsty? You need a tour?
Yeah, what do you
'Cause I
need?
got ya, you know.
I just love the two machine guns he had because again it's Asgard, so you kind of have to remember
Yeah.
that.
But they were American.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Not-
yeah.
oh.
But well, it's from Earth, but it's funny because he said he got them from Texas,
Yeah. I remember that.
and it's just like it's one of those things. It's like okay, yeah, you got to remember, even though they're speaking English and they're humans, they're gods. You know what I mean? So they're not as familiar. I guess the Don saw something on Facebook Live.
Johnny Leather, you're killing us.
Yeah.
Okay, Johnny Leathers. I'm
Again,
not going to read
not
that comment.
politically correct.
Yeah. We're trying to say, and we love you, but if you ever come on this show
You
again,
wear a freaking mask when you come on the show, bro. You can't say stuff like that,
Yeah.
man.
Well,
man.
that's why it's okay
Yeah.
for him to do
Yeah,
that.
I'm saying this stuff as me, as the Don.
wow.
Oh,
Again,
man.
the views and opinions expressed here do not reflect those of the Free Your Geek podcast or 59 Media
Especially
or our
what goes on
sponsors.
in the chat room.
Yeah, especially what's going on in the comments right now with Johnny Leathers. Okay, we talked about Scourge replacing Heimdall. Heimdall wasn't booted off Asgard. He was actually working, as kind of a protector of the citizens of Asgard.
Yeah.
and
Not
he was
doing a very good job of it.
he
to be
did
honest.
he did
He basically ran into the woods with whoever was left.
I think he was smart enough to see what was going on.
Yeah, he was deposed by Loki
Yeah.
or Odin, as he thought, or
Creating a resistance.
And he was able to communicate with Thor at some point and kind of show him things that were happening and whatnot. Hey, get back, and this is what's going on. But he was kind of the protector. We've seen from the previews he was fighting in the woods.
Yeah.
There was a big battle toward the end, and he played a very viable part toward the big battle at the end.
Yeah.
which is awesome because Idris Elba is amazing.
Yeah.
And I love his character. And
He does look cooler in his armor, though.
Right.
So
Than he does
next
with
time,
the
maybe
dirty
don't
dreads.
wear.
Yeah.
Dirty dreads and a potato
Yeah,
sack.
For real. I
good.
gotta say this though: if he has the ability to see anyone and pull anyone through the Bifrost, why not just bring the heroes? Like I'm not talking about, you know what I mean? Like obviously, like the Thor and Loki thing, like we had to have that for the movie. But I mean,
Bring the
hell,
Avengers.
Bring anybody. Yeah, for real. You're not even as limited to the Avengers. Bring like Century. Bring somebody like insane. I don't know. Show us Nova. When are we gonna get Nova?
probably Guardians 3.
Yeah, I hope so, man. I like that character.
But we're talking about being on Sakaar. We meet Scrapper 142, aka Valkyrie.
Yep.
Who basically is one of the Valkyries that Hela basically obliterated. She's one of the only survivor. So she is Asgardian, but now she works for the Grand Master, collecting fighters for his gladiator pit. Mm-hmm. And she basically is posed as a love interest for Thor because we learn, and it's just a throwaway line because apparently they didn't want to bring back Natalie Portman, but Thor and Jane broke up. Thoughts on that?
Wow.
I'm fine with it.
Spilt milk.
Yeah, realistically, it didn't matter, but I would keep Thor and Valkyrie apart, especially now they got a little bit of backstory. Valkyrie.
I like the
all
Valkyrie
line up.
backstory.
No, well, I mean, what I learned is like pretty sure like they had like a whole like slew of comics together, Valkyrie and Hulk. You know what I mean? With that whole like I don't know, maybe Planet Hulk storyline. Because again, like I'm not comic book savvy as this guy right here or this guy right here. You know, we get the movie guys, but
Barely.
I don't know.
Yeah, I liked her as a character though. Like she was great.
Oh, so that was another thing. So is she gonna like be the Valkyrie? Is that? What
I think that's why her name is.
Yeah, that's
in honor of all the fallen Valkyrie kind of deal.
Does a character like that? Is she in Infinity War?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think you're gonna see Heimdall and Valkyrie.
Okay, so then who is the female Thor then? Is she the one who...
Jane Foster.
It is Jane.
It is
so
Jane.
would
In the
be-
comic books, it's
if
Jane
there was
Foster.
a female, it would be.
yeah. So they screwed that up.
Screw the comic books though. Like
But-
if I don't know.
Yeah.
What would have been interesting if they pulled Thor and Loki's other sister, Angela.
Well, I think what they're doing is so. Yes, the comic books are good, and this goes back to the whole thing with the comic purists. Like, why can't you basically take it from the page and put it on the movie? And I get that argument, but I also like the fact that these movies aren't just made for comic book fans. It's a business they're trying to bring in, just somebody off the street. So they take a little artistic liberty for the general populace that might not be the comic book fans, but just know, oh, it's a Marvel movie, it's going to be action, and they kind of tailor it to that, where they try to they make the best story. So instead of Angela, we had Hela as the sister, which is still cool. Like it's a villain, and it paints it a little bit more.
Now Hela is the goddess of death. Does that mean now, since Thanos loves death, now is she death?
Ooh, that'd be good.
I don't know. That's how I took it.
That'd be kind of cool.
Because he courts death. So I wasn't sure if that referred to her. Because like
Two of them teaming
he's in love with the character Death, but Hela in the comics is different from Death, right?
Right. Yeah. So, but that would be kind of interesting. That'd be a cool take on the character if they decided to bring her back to, as
I think she will be back.
that would be awesome.
Yeah.
But her... So now this is where I go with this then. She's not as strong... Like, now she can never be as strong as she once was because now, Asgard has been destroyed.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah,
So that,
true.
But
well,
yes, I agree with that. But in that case, if she's not as powerful, then she can kind of go toe to toe with a Captain America or Iron Man, and it's a little bit more believable. Where it's like, oh,
So just wiping
she
people
couldn't
out.
just obliterate them.
I disagree. And the reason I disagree that she could go, I think she would easily take an Iron Man, easily take out a Captain America. As much as I don't love Iron Man, I actually despise Tony Stark. But so I'll take it. Cap's my favorite. You know what I mean? And
I love
would
Cap,
Love
yeah.
to see Cap destroy anybody. But Thor whipped the hammer at her, and she just went, bloop, and she wasn't even on the planet yet. It just went like this.
Well, she used to wield it, right? Did she? She used to wield the hammer.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah,
Beforehand,
which is
yeah.
why she had power over it, kind of. And at first, I thought there was an Infinity Stone hidden in there,
That would be cool.
or in Heimdall.
Right.
But the movie was such a shocker that
Yeah.
it wasn't anywhere to be found.
That was, okay, so right there, that was our first discussion.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's how I joined all of you guys, and we definitely don't know where that Infinity Stone
Yeah,
is.
no idea.
No idea.
Because that's where I was banking. I'm like, oh, it's got to be here.
Yeah, there were a lot of surprises in that movie. And
Yeah.
then the eye. I don't know if you were going to mention Thor's eye.
Well,
Spoiler.
we'll get
Yeah.
there. We'll get there. But yeah, so I do want to say that so Hela was the end game to get back to Asgard, but we started talking about Valkyrie. Let's talk about some of the other characters we met on Sakaar.
Who he's about to touch on right now was my standout, by far, favorite character in the movie. I would never expect it. And it's just the way he spoke, really, because he...
This one right
Oh God, he
he
was
just-
great.
He
Okay.
just said the most
He was
random stuff,
great.
and it's
I
like,
think
yeah.
was the
Yeah.
standout character is character Korg.
Korg.
Yep.
Which so I don't know if you guys know this. I know Joe might know. Go ahead.
Me,
Oh,
please.
I'm sorry. I thought
Okay,
you were pointing at
my
the
turn.
spoiler sign.
No. My turn. So, this character actually made his debut in Thor's first ever comic book. Ever. Thor went to the planet of something rock people and actually did battle with Korg. And that's from the comic book. And I know that, and I told you that. And if he doesn't know it, I'm happy.
Okay, well, speaking of comic books, real quick, John Viveris on Facebook Live says it's no fun for the director and producer just to copy something from a comic book, which I
Totally
with.
agree with.
And he also said, do you think the Black Panther movie is going to
Yes.
get the Infinity Stone? And I think
Absolutely.
perhaps. Maybe it's in Wakanda.
Yeah, possibly.
I don't think we're going to focus on that. Opinion, strictly the
You don't
opinion
think
of the
you don't
dog.
think it's going to be there?
No, I think if anything, post credit, it will be one of those little scenes where it's oh, set you up for the next movie.
Honestly, I think it's going to be in the Captain Marvel movie somewhere because it's way in the past. It's supposed to take place way in the past.
But is that?
I'm just saying.
So correct me. But isn't Avengers: Infinity War coming out before?
It is, but
So
it's
how is-
but it's a second movie after it though.
Thanos is gonna. Well,
Depends when
see.
Thanos comes out.
See.
Yeah, interesting.
But
It's a tough one.
speaking of Korg, so this is. I think he was probably one of my favorite characters of the movie too.
Hilarious, man.
And you know what? He is both played and voiced by the director of the movie,
Taika Waititi.
Taika
Yeah.
Waititi.
What a voice.
We're gonna have some fun right now.
He also motion captured Surtur, who was at the beginning of the movie that Thor was fighting. And little fun fact, he was also in he was in the Green Lantern movie, which is why it was funny where they were talking about the shape.
He
weight.
was?
Yeah. He played Hal Jordan's best friend, Thomas Pieface Kalmaku, in the Green Lantern movie. So
Wow.
when Ryan Reynolds is putting on has the
Yep.
lamp and that's the director is his buddy, like, oh my God.
That's
oh,
him.
yeah.
Wow. I didn't know
Don't
that.
bring back those bad memories.
Well, I'm just saying that's
Those horrible
it's how
memories.
it's tying DC to Marvel, guys, because
I actually watched that
Hey,
movie.
speaking of
I
Marvel
did
to
too.
Piece
DC,
of shit.
Brian Michael Bendis, quick aside, has been signed
Yeah.
by DC Comics. He's leaving Marvel.
Be
after
afraid,
writing
DC.
a boatload of different Marvel comics. He's jumping over to DC, an exclusive deal. So nothing we want to go too much into there, but that's
DC,
interesting.
though, realistically, this is what I got for you, DC Comics. You guys stink like dog poop. Okay.
Disagree.
Origin stories, bro. You get
Yeah,
your power from
they don't
a
exist.
Man. As much as I love the Ring, crap. Superman, your planet blew up. Your parents sent you away. Crap.
There is
Batman, your parents died. I accept it because Spider-Man's got like a similar story. Crap.
Watchmen?
You are- Watchmen. Awesome. I watched
I actually loved Watchmen.
That
I
movie is
loved
so
it.
good.
It was dark as hell too.
Oh, hell yeah.
I had to catch
Well-
him somewhere.
Yeah, he definitely
Watchmen.
caught me there. But seriously, take away the Dark Knight series, man. And you
Yeah, they
wipe
got nothing.
my butt with
So you're
DC
talking
Comics.
movies.
I'm talking movie. Listen, DC kicks animation's ass.
Yeah,
That's
the
about
animated flicks are awesome, with the exception of a couple of the new
Yeah.
ones. But yeah, I don't want to go harp on DC too much.
But
But
the one thing that I like that everybody who is a DC fan poops all over me about is I think Ben Affleck's awesome Batman.
no, I agree.
No,
I agree.
he's good Batman.
He's good.
As
He's a
the
good Batman.
all-man
I
He's
didn't
good.
disagree with that. I agree.
I'm
I
glad.
absolutely agree.
My boy's got my back.
Yep.
So that was Korg, but again, Sakaar is a battle world. Thor has to in Gladiator games, and we all know this from the previews. He fights the Incredible Hulk, and this is what we were talking about before when you mentioned Doctor Strange and how he's more powerful now because he's had time to practice. When Thor and Hulk are talking, Hulk is very eloquent. Not like he's not speaking.
Smarter.
He's speaking in full sentences. He's not just speaking in phrases. He's-
a friend.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hulk like smoldering fire,
Yeah.
like vicious fire, like all this stuff.
He-
and it's
was more
interesting.
calm. Not calm because he has to be angry to be the Hulk, but he's more civilized.
But and they mention it when he
Yeah.
reverts back to Bruce Banner. He mentions that he's been stuck in the Hulk persona for 2 years. So it could be one of those things with as the Hulk, the more time he spends as the Hulk in the Hulk form, he gets more intelligent and more.
It was
Yeah.
nice seeing personality in the Hulk.
personality,
He said it perfectly though. Like Banner said, like usually both hands are on the wheel, like him and me. He's like this time it was all Hulk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which ties to the animated series for me because in the animated series, the Avengers, like they're two completely separate people. Like the rest of the team deal with them on different levels, you know. And at one point where like Hulk gets like flooded with gamma radiation energy, where he can't revert back to Banner, it shows like inside Hulk's head, not like a little human, but you know, like the subconscious of Bruce Banner in there, like trying to fight and get out. But yeah, I don't even know.
Yeah.
I went on that little tangent. Right
You were talking about how he had both hands on the wheel.
both hands on the wheel.
All it takes is a picture of Black Widow
Yep.
for him to snap out of it, though.
Well, and that's what I love. So
Just keep one in your
you
wallet.
might-
Keep one in the wallet. Sorry, did I?
well, no,
I was thinking that
mentioned it.
same thing.
Joe mentioned it, how he liked. And I'll let you bring it up since it was your kind of thought when we talked about it. But
What?
the reference to Black Widow.
Oh God, yeah. When Thor, sun's getting real low. Oh man, that was the first time he did that. I laughed my ass off just because they did the same music
They use the same
from
music.
Age of Ultron, and he's holding on his hand just like Black Widow, but it's not working.
I love that, and
Sun's
that brings me
getting
to my
real.
next piece on my form here. There were nods to other Marvel films. So obviously, the sun getting real low from Age of Ultron.
So great.
The Tesseract was on Asgard as Loki walks by and potentially picked it up, and he's in possession of the Tesseract. We saw that in Captain America, the first Avenger, and the Avengers movie.
Yep.
And we also saw when Hela was going through Odin's, basically his vault, she saw the Infinity Gauntlet, and she looked at it, she goes, huh, fake.
I gotta say this though. Did you guys notice it was a completely different one that was in the first movie? It
I
was
did
like,
not.
Oh no,
It was
I
like
noticed that.
completely wicked, oversized, and when she like not like fake and started like knocking stuff down. It actually, like, if you go back and watch the first Thor movie, it doesn't look like a glove that's this big. It
It's
looks
actually fake.
Like tiny.
like it could fit like a human. So-
Yeah.
I do have to say, though, I'm a little disappointed that Odin's collecting cheap knockoffs.
No. Ready? Okay, so
messed up.
taking myself out of like movie mode, you look at it like this. If you allow people to believe that you have these things, like you're giving yourself that like false sense of power, and if
Yeah,
you
it's
can
power.
sell that to the masses that they think you have power, you're good. So yeah, like hey, I got the Tesseract down there, I got the Infinity. Oh, you don't believe me? Come on, let's go for a walk.
Yep.
Yeah, no, you can't touch that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like so, if anything, like Odin had already done with Hela all of the work back then to make sure that everything was the way it is now. So now all he has to do is maintain with these threats of having these weapons. You know what I mean? The
Yep.
best way to keep people in line, unfortunately, is fear, not respect. So he can keep all of his people in all of the realms that he sees over in check by, I have all these weapons. You guys have seen what I've done in the past, and I will do it in the future if need be.
Yep.
That's just my adult,
I liked
little spiel.
I like that we saw the gasket again too. Remember the gasket where Loki used it to freeze Heimdall? Mm-hmm. They kind of just like shot to it quick.
Yeah.
Oh my. Okay, so that right there is what I've mistaken. I didn't realize it until this movie. It showed that and the test like back to back, and I was like, oh, the Tesseract, and I'm like, oh wait, no, that's not the Tesseract. What was that? And then it's
Just
like,
an ice,
this
just an ice cube.
Yeah, you know.
It was the amount of detail that they're trying to now weave this thread through all the other movies. I like how they're tying it together. So that's all going to tie together with Infinity War. So at the end of the movie, basically Thor realizes that they have to let Ragnarok happen. They have to let Hela take over, but then they end up freeing Surtur, and he takes over and basically.
Yep, and we didn't mention yet would you call the power Thor got the Odin Force?
Oh yes,
Yes.
Would you call it that?
So
Definitely.
okay, so that's the other big spoiler. Again, spoilers above our heads here. Joe, you mentioned it, but in the previews it shows Thor, Hela, what are you the god of again? And you see his eyes light up with the lightning, and it's similar in the movie, but Thor basically starting, and even in the opening on the audio podcast. And it's kind of interesting because I just made this connection now for some reason. But when Thor and Loki first meet Hela, he goes, "I'm Thor, son of Odin." She goes, "You don't look like him."
Yeah.
Now he does because he
now he
loses
does.
an eye.
Very true.
And Hemsworth did say that moving forward, Thor is going to be wearing that eye patch. So it's going to be.
I like it.
I think it's cool.
cool.
I think it makes him look badass.
Yep.
So all in all, I think the movie was very entertaining. It's a lot funnier than I thought.
Yep.
Usually they give all the good bits away in the previews. I think there was so many like great jokes that weren't even used in the previews that I was laughing at. I'm not going to spoil everything, but let's just say there's a big fight on Asgard, and Bruce Banner is going to turn into the Hulk and jumps out. And I'm not going to say what happens, but that scene was probably the funniest scene
hilarious.
That's
to
hilarious.
me. I don't know if there's anything.
The jumping
that you
out
guys-
of the plane thing?
Yeah, jumping
Yeah.
out of the plane. I thought it was great.
Oh my God! It just clicked. Yes.
It was probably the most the unexpected laugh I had in that entire movie.
Yep.
Did any other scenes stick out for you guys as one of the funnier ones?
When Valkyrie is going to talk to them because Thor wants to get out of the room, wants to escape, and she's like, "You have as long as it takes for me to drink this." I just that was awesome.
Yeah.
I think he was like, "Wow,
Yeah.
holy crap, that woman can put it down."
I liked the Goldblum having Thor in the chair. The Goldblum, Loki, and Thor having that funny conversation, and he kept calling him Sparkles, and he called his planet Asperg.
Yeah,
It's just
That's
Jeff
what-
Goldblum was amazing.
There's so many good scenes that weren't even or jokes or just instances that didn't even make the theatrical like trailers that it's still so worth going.
We
to
couldn't
see.
spoil them all.
No,
It'd
and,
be
that's, and,
impossible.
I don't want to. I mean, we gave away pretty much the entire plot of the movie, but
Yeah. Somebody brought up a good point. My friend Matt said, for someone who can control lightning, Thor really gets hit a lot with tasers, and he can't protect against tasers.
it's interesting.
Because he gets tased. Well, he didn't have his power in Thor 1, but he got tased.
Still that freaking.
Yeah, and then, he just got by the net, and I think...
The thing on his neck.
Yeah. He didn't do good with electricity for someone who
He can
control
channel
lightning.
it, but he can't take external.
Yeah.
It's the wrong voltage.
Yeah, hilarious.
Sucks.
So all in all, where would you guys rank this as far as Marvel films?
Second best one.
So
Third
all,
best one.
all Marvel films? I thought Avengers 1 was amazing. So Avengers, like Guardians of the Galaxy, yeah, I'd say it's like 3 or 4.
Yeah. Somewhere in the top 5 at least.
I was saying,
Yeah.
I
It's
think-
at
I
least
think
in the
it's
top
like number
5.
4.
It's better than Ultron,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yep.
Definitely better than Ultron.
I'd put
Definitely the best
Guardians-
Thor.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
the best Thor. I'd put Guardians, Civil War,
Oh, yeah, Jesus.
maybe,
Civil War,
maybe
Winter Soldier. So-
and then I think
so
Thor Ragnarok.
I think it's
would be-
right
and
in the
then
top 5.
And then
Yeah,
Guardians too.
Got to
for
say
me.
I
top
think it's
5.
right in the top
There's a lot of
5.
good ones at
Yeah.
this point.
Yeah, I agree.
So
with
it's
you guys.
definitely worth checking out. Before we get out of here, Joe, you want anything you want to plug? You want to plug Whatever Bro podcast?
Yeah, Whatever Bro podcast. We're not on every week, but we're around. We occasionally do an episode.
Go on
so
Facebook.
Stay
Go on
tuned.
Facebook.
Yeah, go
Type
on
into the
Facebook.
search bar, Whatever Bro podcast. Like the page. You'll get notified when they go live.
Yeah,
Or
absolutely.
like
Thanks for the
either
plug.
Joe or Scotty Medeiros' Facebook pages and follow them and get notified when they go live.
We're always
They're-
around.
They talk about every like relevant topic in today's world, and
I wouldn't
it's all-
say relevant.
Well,
but
it's comedic
foolish.
styling.
Yeah.
So if you're a fan of like the Opie and Anthony or
Opiates?
yeah, if you're a fan of
If you're a fan of opiates.
again,
The views and expressions by.
but no,
If you're a fan of opiates, watch
yeah,
the Whatever Bro
Opie and Anthony
podcast.
or any of the like that type of radio shock jock type stuff. It's comedy and it's fun.
Who's on first?
I don't know, third base.
Yeah.
See what I did there? Nobody
I
knows
did.
that.
I caught
Okay.
that one.
KB, anything you want to plug?
Nope, brother. I think I'm good.
Okay. Don, how about yourself?
What do I want to plug? A real big thing that happened 25 years ago today.
Oh, here we go.
Streets of Rage.
Streets of
came
Rage,
out,
the video
so
game.
Happy birthday, Streets
of
of
Rage.
Rage. Besides that,
I'm sorry, how many years?
25.
years.
Dun, 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 dun,
25.
yeah. So most importantly, out
God,
of
we're old.
anything, I'd like to thank everybody who stuck around and watched, like literally
Yeah.
the whole time. The thing,
The views
counter-
are good. Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
views
man.
are good. The comments are good. Keep
A lot of
that
live
up,
viewers.
We
man.
Definitely.
appreciate it. We truly appreciate it. Like the page, Free Your Geek podcast. We go live every Thursday, except I say that, except now we're taking like 3 weeks off. But we'll be back the Thursday after Thanksgiving.
I might have to join you, by the way,
yeah,
for that one.
Yeah, we'll come back, and Joe might even be on the following show.
We'll see.
We want to thank our sponsors again: Local Blast Marketing, Pachico's Furniture, Ritual Sweat Society. Thank you all for sponsoring the show. Game King here in
Yep.
Fall River, collectibles,
Great place.
comics.
Want to learn a game? Go there. They'll teach you.
Role-playing games, RPGs, tabletop games, all kinds of stuff. They're right
Look at all
across the
these
street from us.
sponsors.
They're great. They're great people. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Twitter. Free Your Geek on both of those. Check out my website, jfreethegeek.com. I think that's all we got. Now we're going to go back to the original catchphrase. So you guys ready?
No.
Okay, well, before we do that, Joe, thanks again
Yeah.
for being on, buddy.
Oh, man,
This is
my
like
pleasure.
Your
It was a
250th
good time.
appearance
Yeah.
This is
on
the only
show.
place where I can let out my geekness.
Your inner geek,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and we don't even have to censor it.
No.
Which is great.
Oh, yeah.
All right, KB is super awkward. Hit him with the
That
catchphrase.
was a good transition.
So,
Start your weekend with your geek friends.
and get your geek on.
Bye, everybody.
Wow.
You're still here. It's over. Go home.